Baylor has released a non-conference slate for women's tennis, and it goes as follows. The first match is actually January 21st, a little bit later, and no matches this weekend against number 10 Florida at noon. And it's a match where it's good to see where you're at, especially when Florida is currently number 10 in the country. And I'm going to go over like the winning record teams, losing record teams, or even won the NIT outright, or NCAA tournament teams from last year after I go over this non-conference slate. And it's not going to just include the non-conference on the NCAA tournament teams either. It's every single team on the schedule. Obviously, we play number 7 Texas in the ITA kickoff weekend. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but if nothing else, it's a good match. Good to see where we're at, and it's good that we're playing Florida before this. That way we get used to a road match. And I know just recently Texas added a really good freshman for the spring, so then we have to go play either SMU or Florida State for ITA kickoff weekend, depending on our result and their result as well the next day. And it's at noon on the first match. We'll see on the second one. And it's a potential that you could start 0-2 or 1-2. I would hope 1-2 start at the worst. I wouldn't feel so good if we're 0-3 to start out the season. But you gotta consider SMU and Florida State were NCAA tournament teams. But if we somehow beat one of those, just getting at least a win, that will really boost. Then we go on the road to Washington State, but it's not technically a road match. It's in Seattle, so on February 3rd at 2 p.m. And then the next day we play Washington at 2 p.m. in those national indoors. If we could get there, if we beat Texas and then beat either SMU or Florida State, which is a wait and see. It's at that, and it's like 3 NCAA tournament match teams, I would think, there. If we get there. I don't know. We're going to get there or not. We got to go on the road to Ole Miss, then Mississippi State. Now, Ole Miss is February 16th at 2 p.m., and Mississippi State's February 18th at 11 a.m., and those times are listed in Central. Then we got Denver, a good Denver team from last year, and we played them a year ago on February 23rd at noon at Central Time. And then we play in Garden right afterwards, apparently the same day, but 4 p.m. Central Time. Then Grand Canyon at 10 a.m. Central Time on the 25th. And the same day, we play Texas A&M at 4 p.m. Central Time. No need to go over the conference slate again. I'm not going to mention that. But if y'all are curious, I will put the schedule in the description below so y'all could see the conference matches and when the dates are. March 5th, we actually play against Arizona State at noon. Then we got March 13th, we played Nebraska at Nebraska, actually. Not at home. At 3 p.m. So, But it makes sense to go to Nebraska before Kansas State and Oklahoma State, to be honest. That way, it's a little road trip out of it and get an extra non-conference match out of this. In terms of another non-conference slate, April 9th is against SMU at 5 p.m. Central Time, and UTSA on April 12th at 6 p.m. Central Time. The same day as the Oklahoma match, mind you. And there's obviously the Big 12 tournament, April 17th to 20th for that. And we have to wait and see how the bracket's going to look for 14 teams this year. And then, as we all know, 16 is going to happen a year from now. So, in terms of NCAA tournament matches, Florida was a Sweet 16 match last year. We played Texas twice in their Elite 8 last year. They might get back there and maybe a Final Four appearance. I don't know. They have all the experience, though. SMU, we for sure play once in the regular season, maybe even twice. And if we don't play SMU twice we play Florida State instead. They're around a 32 team, and as we all know, SMU almost beat us last year in the NCAA tournament. They were around a 64. Washington is a for sure once, maybe twice, depending on national indoors. I don't know. Down the line, that's around a 32 team. Denver was around a 64. Grand Canyon's around a 64. Texas A&M was Elite Eight, but I think at the very end they just missed Carson Brownstown too much. And we'll have to wait and see how they look. And they are going to be a tough team to handle at home. But you never know until matches are really played, because injuries could affect things and upsets do happen, like any other sport out there. And you got Arizona State that was around a 64 team actually, and now around a 32. UCF was around a 64, but they finished 11-12. Oklahoma State was around a 32 last year, but they're going to be better this year. Iowa State was Elite Eight last year, but then again, they lost their head coach, and a lot of the players are gone to the transfer portal or turn pro. Yeah, I only have one returning player back. Yeah, Kansas was around a 32 last year. Texas Tech were around a 64. Oklahoma Sweet 16. They kind of disappointed. They returned a lot of pieces from that national runner-up team in 2022, but they had a lot of close matches in there. They could have easily lost before then, like around a 32, Elite Eight, Final Four match even. I'm just saying. And Carter Ward was like 16-8 last year, but their head coach is now gone. They got a new one. You got Houston that's 14-9 last year, but they didn't make an NCAA tournament. Nebraska was 16-10 last year, but didn't make an NCAA tournament. BYU was 13-9 and they didn't make an NCAA tournament. TCU was 16-9 last year, including winning an NIT. But you gotta take a little grain of salt about that, because look, it was only 18 field. That's it. I mean, just telling the truth. UTSA was 14-10 last year. Washington State on a losing record team, 7-15. Ole Miss 11-13. Mississippi State 10-15. Cincinnati 8-14. West Virginia 11-12. And Kansas State 2-20. We're going to wait and see how this team does, especially with a lot of road matches in the beginning of the year. But in order to get them ready for the NCAAs and for the team to grow, it's good to have those road matches in the beginning. And like I said yesterday on the Ceiling and the Floor, I still have the same thought. Ceiling, 3rd or 4th in the Big 12. At worst, 6th or 8th. And national scale, ceiling, Sweet 16, if we could get there. And the only way, it's not really the only way to get there. It's just being a top 16 seed would really help. But then again, it doesn't guarantee anything, as we all know. Because in the past, like 2017, we lost 4-3, and then 2021 we lost 4-3 in the round of 32. And hopefully, if we're not a host site, we don't go to Texas A&M again, unlike a year ago, or even a year before that. Even that's just telling the truth. I mean, about this. But they do based on regionality sometimes, I know. But you get the whole point. It's better to be a host seed if you can. And some of these matches are going to be helpful if we could win them. Like Florida, Texas, and SMU, and Oklahoma. I mean, not really SMU, but you get the point. Beat all the teams that are around at 32 and 64, and now help yourself big time in terms of NCAAs, besides all the teams that were winning records and didn't make NCAAs last year, and the losing record teams from a year ago. I'm just saying, you got to win all those matches. The Oklahoma match, if we could win that, it will be helpful. Florida, Texas, and Oklahoma State, because Oklahoma State's going to be really good this year. Even in Texas A&M as well, that would really help. We're going to have to wait and see what really happens here, and I'm sure the company is ready to go and give it their all this year, especially for their 2 seniors. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe. Of course, liking the video, comment video really helps YouTube algorithm so more people can see it. Sharing the videos up as well so more people can watch. And if you're watching and not subscribed, hit subscribe button. It's free, hit the notification bell as well. And some of these tune-up matches, so to speak, will help the other players as well get more experience. And get more experience, period, for some of these players. And luckily, Mishka has been in matches like, in the high-profile matches in the past, like a year ago. And that would really help in all this. And I'm sure they're not just doing it for the two seniors, but for every single player involved. They're going to be fired up and ready to go.